Try it. Go ahead, Pancho.
Si no nosotros, ¿quién?
You need me more than I need you.
Come on.
In the heart of Mexico, Machete Cortez and his young partner embark on a daring mission to rescue a girl abducted by the formidable drug lord Torres. Despite his partner's attempts to dissuade him from this audacious endeavor, Machete remains resolute. A warning call from their chief advises Machete against pursuing Torres and implores him to turn back, but Machete defiantly crushes the receiver with his bare hands. Upon reaching the designated building, they encounter armed men stepping forward to intercept them. Unfazed, Machete prepares his blade and charges toward the building, prompting the men to open fire. Tragically, his partner is torn to shreds, but Machete perseveres, forcefully ramming into the building. Jumping out with remarkable skill, he uses a dismembered arm to shoot some adversaries before slashing his way to the targeted room. Despite attempts to surround him, Machete skillfully beheads all the men in his path. Bursting into the room, he discovers a naked girl, seizes her, and brings her out. As more men flood into the building, the situation takes a sudden turn when the girl unexpectedly wields Machete's blade, stabbing him in the leg. Machete's chief, along with Torres, enters the room, exposing the entire mission as a setup. Men hold Machete down, and Torres questions why Machete cannot be bought out, having already secured influence over the entire DEA and Mexican government. Machete defiantly glares at Torres in the face of adversity. Torres heartlessly brings Machete's wife into the picture, executing her in his presence and issuing a chilling threat regarding his daughter. Torres explicitly states that Machete won't meet an honorable death, instructing his henchmen to incinerate the entire building with Machete trapped inside. Fast forward 3 years, and we encounter Sartana, an immigration officer, meticulously surveilling a nearby taco truck. Her suspicion centers on the owner, suspecting involvement in smuggling and resistance activities. Upon spotting Machete in the vicinity, she promptly identifies him, prompting her to initiate a background check at the US-Mexico border. At the border, a group of smugglers compels immigrants to disembark from their van, leaving them stranded in the unforgiving desert. Jeeps approach, and a pregnant woman struggles to evade the imminent danger. Von Jackson, a vigilante patrolling the border, heartlessly shoots the pregnant woman, rationalizing that he won't permit the baby to be born on US soil. In the background, a man records the distressing scene, accompanied by the corrupt Senator John, who callously shoots the remaining immigrant, intending to broadcast the footage to garner support from backers in Mexico. Turning our attention back to Sartana, she heads toward the taco truck, causing the local Mexican residents, including Machete, to disperse hastily. Even Machete distances himself from her presence. Sartana proceeds to order a taco from the owner, Luz, while delving into inquiries about an alleged network. Despite her persistent questioning, Luz maintains that she is simply the proprietor of a taco truck. Machete is approached by a dubious businessman named Booth, seeking to hire him. Despite initially focusing on gardening prices, Booth urges Machete to take on an assassination task. They return to Booth's office, where he discloses the target, Senator John. John's plan to build a border wall threatens Booth's business, and he offers $150,000 in cash for the hit. Initially resistant, Machete succumbs to Booth's threats, who insists the job must be completed by the next day. They lead Machete to their armory, showcasing an array of weapons. While offered a sniper rifle, Machete opts for a blade as well. After handing over the money, Machete returns to Luz, instructing her to use the funds to support the network and other immigrants in Texas. Meanwhile, Senator John is holding a rally, and Machete has infiltrated a nearby building, reaching the roof overlooking the event. Booth and his henchmen are part of the rally, anticipating Machete, who assembles his rifle with his sights set on John. Before he can take the shot, Booth's henchman shoots Machete, who retaliates by shooting John in the leg. Booth points out Machete, who is making a daring escape from the scene. Cornered on the roof, Machete faces off against agents inside the building, fighting his way through before reaching the ground floor. However, his escape is thwarted when two seemingly ordinary cops knock him down and take him into their cruiser. Taunting him, they disclose their affiliation with Booth, who orchestrated the false assassination. To their oversight, they forgot to frisk Machete, who cunningly employs a concealed blade to stab the driver, manipulating him until the cruiser crashes, enabling Machete's escape. Unbeknownst to Machete, Booth has been collaborating with Senator John all along, planning the staged assassination to bolster John's popularity in the polls. Booth reports the attack to Torres, who, upon seeing the clip of Machete, recognizes him instantly and urges his elimination. Injured, Machete finds himself in a hospital, tended to by nurses and a doctor who covertly reveal themselves as members of the network. Booth's henchmen, Sniper, and other goons arrive at the hospital, claiming to visit a new patient. Sensing danger, the nurse alerts Machete, who seizes the doctor's blades, jumps to his feet, and reveals himself. Wielding the sharp blades like a whip, Machete skillfully slices open one man, utilizing his intestines to leap out the window and onto another floor. Bursting from the window and navigating the streets, Sartana is at home when her superior orders her to hunt down Machete, whom she spots on the news. Machete, staggering through the city, is found by Luz, who brings him to her apartment. There, she performs voodoo egg magic, initially advising him to rest before changing her mind and opting for a more intimate encounter. Sniper, tracking Machete, arrives at the last known location where Booth picked him up. Holding a man at gunpoint, he extracts information on Luz's whereabouts. Gathering men, they approach the house, only for one to meet a fatal end with Machete's blade through his head. The remaining men charge the house, but Machete takes them down. Meanwhile, Sniper retrieves a bomb from his car, tossing it through the window. Machete narrowly escapes before the house explodes. As Sartana corners him during his escape, ordering him into her car, she reveals knowledge of his history. Despite past conflicts, she proposes they work together to take down Torres. Booth contacts Torres and executes Sniper on the spot for failing to eliminate Machete. Booth discloses that he has enlisted another notorious individual to track down Machete, and Torres instructs him to accomplish the task within 24 hours or face Torres's personal intervention. Sartana, determined to unravel the mystery behind the attempt on the senator's life, takes Machete to her home, contemplating protective custody. However, Machete vows to locate the hired hitman and bring him to justice. Luz returns home and later heads to her covert base, unveiling an extensive arsenal of weapons. Cortana, tracing her whereabouts, confronts them. After a tense standoff, Cortana affirms her alliance, prompting Luz to elaborate on the network's mission. Machete seeks guidance from his brother Benicio, now a priest, who leads him to a clandestine surveillance room. There, Machete identifies Booth on video, and Benicio discloses that Booth unwittingly confessed his connections with Torres during confessions. Infiltrating Booth's residence under the guise of a new gardener, Machete engages in a confrontation involving guns and a weed whacker. Spotting Booth's wife and daughter skinny dipping in the pool, he subdues them, puts them in his van, and proceeds with his mission. Machete proceeds to infiltrate Booth's office, leaving behind a video recording of his actions. Upon Booth's return, he discovers the camera, a note, and a video that leaves him in shock. Machete later brings the recordings and comprehensive files on Booth, Vaughn, John, and Torres to Sartana. As Sartana reviews the materials, she comprehends Torres's plan to exploit John's construction of a controllable border between the US and Mexico for financial gain. Luz is leaving her secret refuge when she is confronted by Vaughn and his men. Accusing her of hiring Machete to assassinate John, Vaughn shoots her in the eye. Meanwhile, Booth's hired assassin, Osiris, accompanied by his armed men, arrives at Benicio's church. Benicio confronts them, showcasing his exceptional combat skills. Although he manages to eliminate several assailants, Osiris eventually overpowers him. Booth enters, and Benicio finds himself crucified, enduring further brutality as Booth demands information about Machete's whereabouts. Back at home with Sartana, Machete faces an ambush by assailants seeking to capture them. Machete, armed with a gun, takes down several attackers, while Sartana employs her heels to fight off and dispatch her assailants. Realizing they are being hunted, Machete returns to the church and is shocked to find his brother dead. Subsequently, he sends Booth a text, warning of his imminent retaliation. Upon receiving the message, Booth gets a call from Torres, who has arrived in America. Torres cautions Booth that, after killing Machete, he will become the next target. Booth informs Torres about the incriminating file Sartana possesses, prompting Torres to prioritize dealing with her first. Machete arrives at Booth's mansion armed with a weed whacker, inducing fear in the guards who scatter. Employing various tools like a nail gun and gardening scissors, Machete extracts information from the guards, including revealing Booth's birth date. Simultaneously, Sartana hands over the files to a local newspaper. During Senator John's press conference addressing reports about Machete, a reporter accuses him of orchestrating his own assassination. Videos then play, revealing Booth killing Benicio and disclosing intricate details of their plan. Another video showcases John's involvement in the immigrants' deaths. Responding swiftly, John rushes off the stage with Booth, escaping in a waiting car. In a moment of chaos, John berates Booth for his failures, leading Booth to confess that he did everything for John's campaign. In response, John shoots Booth dead, steals a nearby cab, and escapes. Meanwhile, as Machete arrives, Booth is dying, and in his last moments, he reveals that Torres is seeking Machete and requests protection for his wife and daughter before passing away. John, now on the run, contacts Vaughn, urging them to go all out and eliminate Machete. Machete returns to the border town, witnessing people leaving flowers at Luz's truck. Motivated by a man who suggests fighting back, Machete agrees, and they take him to their base to prepare for war. Sartana arrives at the border town, delivering a speech about joining forces with Machete. The crowd rallies around her, and together, they head out in trucks. Torres appears, attempting to capture Sartana, and the news reaches Machete, who rallies the Mexicans for a confrontation. Meanwhile, John arrives at Vaughn's place, only to have guns turned on him. Vaughn exposes John's dealings with Torres, drug smuggling, and his men holding him, planning to execute him for his betrayal. As Vaughn's men gear up for war, Machete and his group arrive at the base. A car fires 2 rockets, blowing the gate open, and they charge in, sparking a massive brawl. Machete, wielding a 2-feet-long blade, hacks his way through the opposition. Nurses from the hospital join the battle, and Luz steps out with a Star Wars-looking rifle, tearing through the enemy ranks. As the Mexicans begin to overpower Vaughn's men, Vaughn attempts to escape, but Luz hides in his truck and shoots him in the head. Meanwhile, Torres mysteriously appears on the scene with Sartana bound and gagged. Torres and Machete engage in a dual-wielding blade battle, evenly matched. Despite disarming one blade from each other, Machete charges in, only to be thrown down by Torres. Torres prepares to deliver the finishing blow, but Machete manages to stab him. In a surprising move, Torres dismisses the clearly fatal wound, opting for seppuku, claiming he'll face Machete on the other side. The battle concludes with Machete raising his blade in victory, triumphant alongside his comrades. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching and see you again soon. Take care.